I'm David Leventhal. I'm the program director for the Dance for PD program, which is housed at the Mark Morris Dance Group in Brooklyn, New York. But we have a network of teachers who we've trained who are working all over the world, 16 countries around the world, including New Zealand, where we're just starting to get things going. The Dance for PD program is really based on the idea that professional dancers use strategies and approaches to movement that are particularly valuable for people with Parkinson. So we focus on things like balance and coordination and sequencing and rhythm. Really more than that, though, because although we work a lot on the physical aspects of dancing, we also emphasize the expressive aspects, the social aspects, and the cognitive aspects. So when you think about what dancers do in their training, it's not just the actual steps, but it's the meaning and sense of expression that they give in those steps, the stories that they are telling through the movement, the sense of gesture and the sense of interaction. The other thing is that dancers are often working with each other. We're connecting, we're holding hands, we're looking at each other. So there's a very strong social aspect of the dance training that we all do as dancers, but also in the Dance for Parkinson's environment. So a lot of people tell us they really love the movement. They love the fluidity that they feel from being in the class. They love the sense of rhythm. They love the sense of play and storytelling. They love the challenge of it, but they also really love the fact that they get to dance with others. They get to look into others' eyes and make that sense of personal connection. And people tell us it helps break some of the social isolation that they feel living with Parkinson's. I think dance is also a very intense cognitive activity. People have to figure out changes of direction and turns and going backwards and different coordinations. And we do that all very safely. When we train our teachers, we approach all of the sort of dance vocabulary through a Parkinson's filter, so people know what might be challenging and how to translate material that might be difficult for people. But we do work on those things, and I think one of the most valuable things that dance training can offer is that sort of cognitive challenge and cognitive strategy. How do we think about movement? How do I use imagery in the service of movement? So not just thinking about moving my arm to the side, but actually imagining that my arm is like a wing on a swan. And how does that change the quality of movement? How does that soften the movement? And the use of imagery, the use of story is all related to thinking differently about movement than other people might think about it, or people with Parkinson's might think about it. The structure of the class is really based on a traditional dance class. So there's a warm-up that builds progressively to get a little bit more intense. We practice a number of different skills and ideas as we go. And we start the class seated. So regardless of what your comfort with balance is in the moment, we will start in a chair. And that allows people to really have a full body experience without having to worry about balance. And I think there's great benefit to that. We then, for those people who would like to, we move around either to a ballet bar or to the back of the chair. We use the back of the chair as support. And we do several activities behind the chair as a sort of transitional moment, so people can really get used to being on their feet but still have support. Of course, at any time, people are welcome to do any part of the class seated. And again, we train our teachers to translate material for all levels. So people who wish to be seated, people who want to hold on to the chair for the whole class. And then the last part of the class, 15 to 20 minutes, is spent traveling across the floor. For a lot of people, that's a favorite part because it gives people a real sense of freedom and power and locomotion. Again, people want to stay seated. They can do all of the same material in the chair and still experience that sense. They're just not traveling. So I would say if you were to break up the class, about half an hour of seated progressive warm-up, about 15 to 20 minutes of supported standing, and about 20 minutes or 25 minutes of traveling. And we all come together at the end for a very special and meaningful part of class where we pass a bow and a pulse around. And this is taken right from a traditional ballet class, actually, where there's something called a reverence. And it's a chance for the students to express gratitude to the teacher, and the teacher to express gratitude to the students and the musicians, and vice versa. There's this wonderful closure that people have. And what I like about it is that regardless of how much of the class you've done, what challenges you've had during class, we all come together at the end and acknowledge equality, acknowledge equal contribution, and acknowledge our humanity. And I think dance, as much as anything else, is one of the essential activities of being human, that we as humans have this natural desire, even if we haven't really brought dance into our lives. We are all born dancing. We all have danced at some point. And this program is really harnessing that inner wiring to dance and to intersect with music in a very deep and meaningful way. And we all have a right to do that, and it benefits all of us. Our classes are open to people with Parkinson's, but also their care partners, their partners, their life partners, and spouses. And that's a very important model for us. We really want the class to be a community and to engage all of the various constituents in each individual's lives. So we have people come in with their partners, with their kids, with their grandkids, and we want anyone who wants to come along to be part of that. So it is not exclusive in any way. And what we hear from people is that they're able to experience their partner in a very different way in the class than they might outside, and actually just enjoy a fun, social, and meaningful activity together. And I think there's great benefit in that. Some of the benefits from the research that has been done about dance for Parkinson's really stand out for me. On the physical side, things like improvements in balance, improvements in walking, improvement in gait stride, also improvements in things like tremor and facial expression have come up in some of the research that's been based on the standard measurements that are done by a neurologist called the UPDRS. But we've also seen research done on the social science side that have looked at quality of life, and there have been some pretty significant data points that have come back from that. The biggest one, I think, is in confidence and self-esteem, that people gain a sense of confidence by being in the dance class, by learning something new that perhaps people said they could never do, that would be impossible. And here they are learning to dance. And the great boost of confidence that gives to someone with Parkinson's, who's so often told about limits, is a significant research finding for me. I know we all get very focused on changes in motor function, but for me, confidence, social inclusion, and self-esteem are of equal value, particularly when we're dealing with a chronic condition like Parkinson's. So we've seen a number of studies that have looked at that and have some pretty significant impact. I've also just seen a study here at the World Parkinson Congress that's looking at the effect of the dance class on people's daily activities, things like grasping a pitcher or pouring or buttoning. And actually what has been shown is that the dance class impacts those activities positively in people with Parkinson's, that even just doing a dance class that is not specifically geared towards helping people do a button. It isn't a therapy experience, it's a dance class, that actually there's an improvement over the course of the 10 to 12 weeks. And that's a pretty significant finding, that through art, we can actually improve our ability to do things that we do every day. And I love that connection. So that's another kind of research that comes in addition to the sort of standard Parkinson's measurements and the quality of life and expressive sort of confidence components.